welcome to the Spiritist Society of Melbourne. We are a group of Spiritists who study the spiritualist philosophy, Spiritism, and come every Tuesday night to share our understanding about specific topics under the lens of Spiritism. My name is Thiago Comitre, and I'm a volunteer with this group. Tonight, I'm going to share my understanding to the topic Evilness in the World. I'm a student of this philosophy, and what I'll be exposing here is my understanding to the topic as well as my own opinion, which might be different from other members of this group as well as from other students of this philosophy. Why does evil exist in the world? I trust everyone have already asked this question to themselves. When we study Spiritism, we understand that evil is the absence of good. And speaking for myself, at least, that's my understanding. So, what is evil then? I wrote here some definitions. It means profound immorality and wickedness, especially when regarded as a supernatural force, or a manifestation of profound immorality and wickedness, especially in people's actions. And something which is harmful or undesirable, especially in people's actions. Why do people act with wickedness? We'll try to figure out through this presentation. So my presentation tonight will be based on this book, the Spirit's book, which contains the principles of Spiritism according to the teachings of spirits of high order degree, transmitted through many mediums across the world, then received, organized and codified by Allan Kardec. Also, the Gospel according to Spiritism, which contains the explanation of the moral maxims of Christ in concordance with Spiritism and their applications to the different circumstances of life. Spiritism, this spiritualist philosophy, says that we are individuals with the main objective of progressing spiritually towards perfection, and at the same time being co-creators. Let's explore a little bit this statement here. We are individuals. It's talking about individuality. This philosophy tells us that we are spirits, created simple and ignorant. And what is a spirit? It's ourselves. So we are at the moment incarnated in this body, and we call that soul because that is not free. It is embodied. It's inside this, is inhabiting this body. So that's why we call that soul. But essentially, they are the same thing. This soul or this spirit, they are unique in the entire universe. That's why we call these individuals. It has its individuality, it's unique. So it was created simple and ignorant, but through many existences to reach perfection one day, it will be building itself morally and intellectually because of the choices it made during this journey. It will be following its own path. That's why it builds its own individuality, and that's why it's unique in the whole universe. We cannot assume it's impossible to reach perfection in a single life. So let's compare with our current existence. Since when we was born and until we die, We will not be perfect. But as an intelligent being that survives the death, that continues after death, we have multiple existence, and that allows us to evolve and to be better and to finally reach this perfection. And then there we'll have some roles to contribute with the whole thing. But we are already being co-creators. We are collaborating with the whole thing from our place. So we are here on Earth, and everything that we do, we are collaborating with the creation. As everything has an essential meaning to exist, we also have. When I say everything, I mean all the animals, the plants, and everything else. So the concept of multiple existence, you may know, it is related to reincarnation. This topic wasn't created by this philosophy, but is very well explained and give us a better understanding of the and to see a big picture of this entire thing, like this journey of evolution, about the life itself, about this multiple existence, about this progress for the spirit itself. With this very short explanation and a lot of concepts in mind, we can continue. So in the Gospel according to Spiritism, it says, evil is a consequence of humans' imperfections, and not that there is an obligation for them to commit it. Them is us human beings. As I've just explained, we are in a journey of evolution. So we are going through existence. You and myself have a lot of problems to go through, right? Some are, we can assume that it's quite easy. We go through, we solve, and that's good. But some, it's quite hard for us to deal with. Even emotionally or even intellectually, it's hard. But maybe for our partner, for our family members or friends, that is quite easy and they don't understand why we struggle with some things. But we are in different level of evolution, right? So in that process, you might be here and I might be here, and people are in different stages, right? That's what makes us different, and that's why things are easy for you and not for me, and vice versa. And this imperfection, because we're still working on that, this imperfection make us to do some wrong things. Because actually we didn't learn yet how to do differently. And we are trying. We are always trying our best. But sometimes we do things that we don't realize actually that we are doing wrong. And that could be wrong. So we have a moral background and we have a spiritual background that comes from previous lives. And the total, the sum up of everything is what makes ourselves. We are a conjunction or a sum up, a summary of all these things, all these previous existences. So I brought here a few pictures for us to exercise our minds as well, and to try to take us back in the past. We have passed through this time here, in this picture, so primitive stage. This is a bit advanced, I think, because we see groups, and the main objective here was self-preservation, was actually fight every day against beasts, as we see on the top of that image, and also bring food for ourselves and for those who live with us. You see down here in that small cave, or that small hill of rocks there, they created a cave, a grave there, and they put someone there. They have more sense of life. They understand and read that. But if you go even before this time, that would be very different. So how do you think each of those human beings here, very primitive human beings, would think? They would be very aggressive. They probably didn't have the language as we have for communication, as we do nowadays, but they had that kind of communication because they had to understand between them, right? Imagine that we come from we have lived it during this time. And then after that, we evolved. When I say we, I mean humankind, and I mean we as a spirit. So, as a spirit, we are all the time evolving because we had that primitive existence for a few times. We went through that, not a few, let's be honest with ourselves. We went through that many times. And that allowed us to evolve a little bit each time. Because we understand things, we start to develop our intelligence because we didn't have fire at that time. And we with time, someone just created the fire. And that was the knowledge that was transferred to everyone from that time. So what I wanted to achieve here is that to give you the idea that we came from that stage of primitive, and we came to this picture when we are more in a more civilized way. You can see more groups, kind of houses at the back, and a more experienced person teaching a younger one. People sharing some time, probably fun times there in the water back there. So it's different time, but considering they are spirits, is still learning, is still in the journey to achieve perfection one day. They probably do things that we don't do anymore nowadays. So the idea here is to, as I said, to show that humankind evolves as well as the world and everything else, societies, cities, countries, the world itself, everything evolves. So everything is in a continuous transformation for the good, of course. If we learn something that is in us, that knowledge is not taken out of us. So we really know that. Let's do a comparison here with when we are in school and we know how to do some calculations. So we learned that. And after that, we are just evolving and getting more complex problems, math problems. But the basics, the essential, we already know because that is a learned lesson. In life, for the spirit is the same thing. With time, we know that, I should not kill another person. That is not a good thing. And then we observe that. It is in our spirit. So when we come in our life, not be doing that because in our unconsciousness, is a learned lesson I read. We are all the time looking for our best version. That's why we are all the time learning something new. We are develop something that we are not so good yet, but we develop. Because again, we are not perfect just yet. We are inclined to do evil. So in consequence of those wrongdoings, we will be suffering. And you understand what I mean by suffering in a few slides. Being in a state of expiation while on the earth, our world, humans are punished by means of contact with their vices, of which they are the first victims, and whose inappropriateness they end up understanding. Humans are punished. Let's assume now, if we do something wrong, and we know that we did something wrong, and that is a feeling, a bad feeling inside us, and you wanted to excuse someone, we want to ask to apologize someone, right? Of that thing. That's because of our feelings. But if you don't know about that, if for you it's okay, it's because it's a lesson you didn't learn. So what happened then? What happened is that you need to learn something with that. Then you probably go through the same issue, but you will probably suffer that, or in such a way that you will understand because you pass through the same thing. There is an example here. Once they are human beings, once they are tired of suffering from evil, they seek the remedy in the good. The reaction to these vices, therefore, serves at the same time as punishment for some and trials for others. So let's assume that now you are suffering for something we've done before. That could be a kind of punishment for you to suffer from the same wrongdoing we've done before. But for others, maybe a trial. So you already learned about that, about the things that you used to do wrong. And then you learned that in the spiritual life. And then in another incarnation, another existence, you come to test yourself for a trial in the same situation. So when that same situation happens in your life, in that a specific existence, you'll be tested. So that will be a trial for yourself. If you succeed, it means that your spirit has learned that. That's why we have punishment for some and trials for others. For example, an ungrateful child is a punishment or trial for the parents who bear it, because they themselves had perhaps been bad children and now must suffer the penalty of talion. However, the child is blameworthy, nonetheless, and must be punished in turn, in the persons of his or her children, or in some other way. This is a simple example. So we are all the time doing wrong because it's normal. We are still, as a spirit, we're still learning things. And then we, in some way, we suffer in a similar situation that we have caused. And then that helps us to, our spirit, to learn from the same situation we have caused. But let's go a bit further. Why do people still act with so ruthlessness? Murder, violence, brutality, wickedness. We still see that in the news. Much less than before, of course, because humanity or humankind evolve, and then these things tend to disappear from this world. One day, when the entire humankind understand that these things doesn't fit with the whole world. So all these things you see in the screen, so murder, any evil attitude, brutality, violence. So all these things tends to disappear. But why people still do that? Because they didn't learn. They didn't understand yet. So remember that I said that we are in different level of evolution. Let's assume that we are in a level of evolution that we don't do things like that, so aggressive, so brutal things. But we do other things that is more light, let's say, but it's wrong as well. Those spirits that is in a different level than us, so they are still thinking or doing things like this. They have the chance to live in this world with other spirits that has a better understanding than them of life and all other stuff, and that is an opportunity for those spirits to learn, to try to do differently, or at least to understand that, for example, they do things wrong, they receive a punishment here in this material world, so they go prison in jail, right? They go to the jail, and after years there, they come out and they perhaps becomes they regret what they've done because of that time, and then people will work with them to help them to recover from that past, right? So that's how the relationship between these different level of spirits, a bit more evolved than others, helps each other to evolve. So that's what justify why we still have so much wickedness still in the world. And but this is much less than in the past. Let's get an example of a child here. Let's assume that a child is drawing in the wall of the house, and you come and see it's your child, and you see, and that's not a good thing. And you come and you explain that kid, and you paint the wall again. And then the kid, after 2 days, they do it again, and you teach him again until that kid understand and have their brain and everything formed enough, right, to understand that. So they will understand what you're explaining, and that is a learned lesson for him. And he will not draw in the walls anymore. You'll get a paper next time because you teach them to do that. That's a learned lesson. But let's compare this with imperfect spirits. High order spirits or more evolved spirits do the same with less evolved spirits. Let's say ourselves. The books that I shown in the beginning, that was I'm based for this presentation, the Spirits book and the Gospel according to Spiritism, and 3 other books that makes the base of this philosophy. There was transmitted by mediums, from high order spirits. Spirits from high order degree, so they are pure. They don't have this bad inside them, this evil inside them. They are pure good because they understand, and they have went through all these existence, all these experiences of doing wrong, and they have done a lot of brutality as well, and a lot of wrong things. But with time, they learned. But now they come to help us to evolve as well, to have a better understanding of life and the whole thing. So they teach us how to do differently. But we as humankind, as I've said, we are still learning. And we do, as the kid, we do wrong again. In another existence, maybe we do wrong again. But maybe in a third and fourth one, we understand, our spirit understand, and then we stop doing that wrong thing. And we start wishing to do the good and only the good. And that's how the spirits very, very slowly, very gradually will evolve. And with that, as I said, the society, the cities, the countries, the whole world will evolve. But we will still have some spirits that cannot fit in the world already modified, already evolved. And then what we learned in this philosophy is that they don't come to this world anymore. They go to another world. I know it's hard to forgive. Sometimes we don't suffer that, but we see things in the news, and the news always show these shocking things. And it's hard for us to understand how that person was, who did that. Things very, very don't worth to describe here, but with this understanding of a spirit that is still learning, we could understand a bit better. But is it still hard for us to accept, to forgive, to love that person? But like a kid, your kid, he did a lot of things wrong. You was very upset, angry, but you still love that kid, right? So imagine our creator, the creator of all things, what we call the supreme intelligence of all things, which is God. So this consciousness that has created everything give us not another chance, but many other chances, as much as we need to learn the lesson. So the evil we still practice, even if it is big or small, it doesn't matter, it's still evil, is because we didn't know how to do good or how to do better. So the absence of good is the evil. As we evolve, that doesn't happen again for us. First step is self-forgiveness then. Because we did wrong, we understand that, we accept, and we need to forgive ourselves. Because we also need to evolve. And with this understanding of our attitudes, we start seeing people differently. Because if I am imperfect, the other also is. Everyone is, because everyone is in the same boat. Everyone is here in this existence with the same objective, doing their best, trying to evolve. Kardec talks about reincarnation when he summarized everything in this statement here. To be born, to die, to be reborn yet again, and to always progress. That is the natural law. So I've explained this very well before. Many existences, many chances, opportunities for us to learn, to do better, to do differently, to understand the order. We are not who we think we are, but in reality, a product of a many existence instead. So this image represents the different existence of a spirit. So you can see by the clothes and in general here, the different times that the spirit came in Earth. So maybe a difference of 100 years, maybe. But you can see that it's the same spirit coming in different bodies, always as a woman here in this picture, but could be a man in the middle or in other times. But we are like this. We had multiple existence before, and we'll have many after this one, the current one. So when we think of this and extend this understanding and this vision to the others, what we should do is to respect everyone, because everyone is in different level of evolution. Remember, something that is easy for you could be very hard for me or someone else, or your children, or your partner, brothers, even parents, anyone. So respect, because everyone is different. We don't know what was our relationship with some people. So, because we don't have access to our past lives, right? So, what we have done against certain people that we don't like in this life, and we don't know why we don't like, doesn't matter. We just need to respect, as I said before. We need to practice the good thing, practicing the good, do the good. That's the way we will be making this world better, starting with ourselves. That's a hard work, but that's what this world is seeking, human kindness. That's how everyone will evolve as our planet evolves. It depends only on us. Thank you. Thank you very much for watching, and I see you next time.